The March to War, 2014.
I've been very clear that we're not going to have U.S. combat troops in Iraq again.
None of us advocate Americans involved in the fighting again. The American people have had enough of that.
This is not going to be an announcement about U.S. ground troops. This is not the equivalent of the Iraq War.
There are threats to the United States, then I, of course, would go back to the President and make a recommendation that may include the use of U.S. military ground forces.
We will send an additional 475 service members to Iraq.
I frankly think the President's request is a sound one. I think there's a lot more that we need to be doing.
Will we repel Bashar Assad's air assets that will be attacking them?
Any attack on those that we have trained who are supporting us, we will help them.
We will hunt down terrorists who threaten our country wherever they are. That means I will not hesitate to take action against ISIL in Syria as well as Iraq. This is a core principle of my presidency.
Gangsters, criminals, liars, thugs. Welcome to the savage nation. A nation ruled by gangsters, criminals, and thugs cannot stand. You know, I sit here and I watch the world spinning around, and I wonder how you can take it. I'm lucky. I consider myself the luckiest man on earth. I have a radio show where I can discuss with you my disgust for these liars, thieves, and gangsters that are ruining the world. I can do it. You can't. I don't know what I would do without this radio show. People said to me many years ago when I said I can't take this anymore, they said you'd probably die if you didn't have your radio show. Well, I didn't know what to say about that, but I'm still here. The fact of the matter is I don't know how the average person gets through a day looking at this complete imposter, traitor in the White House. I don't know what else to say about it. Then you got the Republican gangsters who want another war for the contracting. There's John Boehner, comes back from the vacation. Right away, Marblemouth is telling us that he supports Obama in his war efforts in Syria. But if you listen carefully, you will confirm what I've been telling you for over 10 days now, which is that this is nothing but a smokescreen to attack Assad, to bring down Assad, destroy Assad's air force. In other words, ISIS was created as a Frankenstein, a so-called boogeyman, in order to justify invading Syria and taking down Assad. These morons have learned nothing from their mistakes with the Arab Spring before. Yesterday in New York City, there was a Muslim march that if you actually saw this, and I linked it up from the newspapers in New York on michaelsavage.com, you'd say this can't be going on in my country. Muslims marching with guns, Muslim marching with people hanging from a noose on a truck. There's no other religion on earth that preaches such hatred and violence. None! None! How can you tolerate this? How do you let a Trojan horse like this operate in this country? Every other religion that I've read my whole life, and I've read a lot of other religions, Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism. I can't say I'm a scholar in these areas. Not one religion preaches death, dying, and destruction except Islam. What the hell do you want me to say? They're all equal? I don't work for the Obama administration. They're not all equal. If a religion preaches death, dying, destruction, and submission, it's not a religion. It's a death cult. You know, I want to talk again about this pretext of war against Assad. Assad is an evil man. But if we learn nothing from what we did to Gaddafi in Libya, Mubarak in Egypt, and all the other countries that Hillary Clinton destroyed in the name of democracy, and they're going to do it again in Syria, it gets even worse. Are you listening to me? Your president is sending 3,000 American troops into the heart of an Ebola hot zone in Africa. Is there anyone listening to this show who thinks that's a good idea and why? I'd like to hear why you think U.S. troops, meaning other people's sons, certainly not your son. It's not your son. You don't have a son, number one. Number two, your son isn't in the military. But you want someone else's son to be sent to an Ebola zone. What is it going to take for you to realize how dangerous the situation really is? And I ask you again, should Obama send U.S. troops to Africa to fight Ebola? How do you feel about invading Syria under the pretext of fighting ISIS to bring down Assad? How do you feel about a religion that preaches hate, death, destruction, and submission and calls itself a religion? I want to read you something by comparison. Most religions teach tolerance, compassion, getting along with others. There's a story called The Lion and the Mouse, and it goes like this. A mouse once inadvertently roused the sleeping lion by walking over its foot. "You lowly mouse," cried the lion. "You deserve death for waking me." The mouse responded with a broken heart. The mouse said, "I know that I have done wrong, but I beg of you not to harm me, and I will repay you one day." The lion laughed at the mouse. Lion said, "Can a puny creature like you possibly be of help to the king of beasts?" But he let the mouse go. Well, one day the lion went hunting and fell into a trap set by hunters. The lion roared an awesome roar that reached the ears of the mouse in its hiding hole. The mouse thought, "Surely the lion is in trouble. I shall go and save him." The mouse ran to the lion and began gnawing away at the net until the lion was freed. What is that about? It's a parable called The Lion and the Mouse from the Jewish teachings known as the Ethics of the Fathers. This is a book that teaches compassion. It teaches kindness. It teaches humility. It doesn't teach killing. Everything in it is about that. It's all about humility. It says, "For there is no man who does not have his hour, and no thing that does not have its place." What does that mean? What does that mean? You've heard that. There is no man who does not have his hour, and no thing that does not have its place. And then they give the parable of the lion and the mouse. Well, even the humble mouse has its place in the world. Every person and everything plays a role in the grand scheme of creation, without which the world is incomplete, says the teachings of the ethics of the Jewish people. That's why when we say this is a Judeo-Christian nation, there's a meaning for it. Forget those greedy pigs who use their religion to capitalize on welfare, or the greedy pigs who use their religion to capitalize on contracts, or whatever. They exist in all religions. But let's not make those people an exemplar of the religion itself. Now, by the same token, we should say, let's not let those who use Islam as a tool to conquer, kill, maim, and rape, because they themselves are distorting and stealing from their own religion. But where in the Quran does it teach humility? I don't know. I don't know where it teaches that. Maybe there's a Muslim in the audience who could tell me that. Can you read one sutra that teaches humility towards your fellow man? I haven't found it yet. Maybe it's in there. Maybe I missed it. Again, I'm not an expert on religion, but maybe you are. And what about other things that you've learned from your religion, like turn the other cheek? If the Christians continue to turn their other cheek, you know what's going to be left? Nothing. Nothing. If the Christians haven't learned how to defend themselves, there will be no Christianity. The Middle East is awash with their blood. And Obama is sending troops to Africa to fight Ebola, not to save the Christians. I wonder why. 855-407-282. Do you fear ISIS, or do you think it's just overblown? Or is it a combination of both? I told you the women are afraid. The women are petrified because of the cowards, punks, and liars running the country. And the vermin in the media are getting them sick. I hear women saying to me, "I can't watch one more man in a suit with his legs crossed talking so politely about these rapists and murderers. I can't take it anymore." Where are the men? Where are the men? Where the hell have they gone? The answer is no one knows where they are. They're behind the scenes. Well, they're out in the combat zone somewhere. They're schemers now. We have schemers running everything. Schemers. You know how much money is being made on Obama's unaccompanied children? Do you know who's making the money on Obama's unaccompanied children? I have the data for you. I do. Oh, the religions. Religion Incorporated is making a bundle on it. Catholic charities, Jewish charities, Muslim, Mormon charities. They're making a fortune on Obama's unaccompanied children. Now they can call me up and say I'm anti-Catholic, anti-Jewish, anti-Mormon. I really don't care. It doesn't matter what they say to me, because I know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. I'm free. You're not. You're in bondage. You're in the bondage of lies being fed to you by Wolf Blitzer and the government jesters on television. The Bill Maher's, the Leibovitz guy, whatever his real name, fake name is. I don't know what his name is. They're all government jesters. They have no audiences. Their audiences are paid for by the government through HBO, Showtime, or MTV. They have no audience. They're government jesters. They may as well have worked for Joseph Stalin, entertaining the masses with the government media complex lies. So I come out here for you every day, and I try to piece it together. And I look around this beautiful city of San Francisco, and I see gorgeous buildings. I love the downtown of San Francisco. I like it particularly at dusk. Just before dusk, when the shadows start to hit the buildings, and I look at civilization, I think about the men who created this civilization and still are creating it, the builders, the architects, the builders, the contractors, the construction workers. Think of the positive energy that it takes to create a building and a city and running water and electricity and fiber optic cable and wireless networks into these buildings. Think about what it takes to bring food into a city. That humble sandwich you eat, think about how far away the products come from and where they're grown and the farmer. This is all the product of civilization. And yet on the planet we have tens of millions of losers, psychotic, homicidal maniacs who cling to a 9th century view of their religion, which they believe tells them to blow up the buildings, poison the food, maim people, and rape women. How in the world can this world tolerate such a cancer? How can you tolerate a cancer and not call it a war? What do you mean we're not at war? They're at war with everything you believe in. They're at war with your city. They're at the war with your food, your air, your water, your places. They want to destroy everything around you. But you don't want to believe that. You think that by me saying this, I'm just trying to stoke fear. No, I'm trying to stoke vigilance. I'm trying to warn you that you are in grave danger of losing everything that you have. And we don't have the men in charge capable of doing it. Did you hear General Dempsey? That guy gets me sick altogether. How could this man be the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff? The answer is because he's Obama's general. That's why. He's not a Schwarzkopf. He's not a general of the type that you may remember or know from history or from today. No, this is a stooge, a puppet of Obama. A yes man, in other words. He may as well be an usher in a movie theater. His epaulettes may as well be that of an usher in a movie theater. Whatever Obama and the 4 horsewomen of the apocalypse want done, this usher will do. So if he tells the usher to send 3,000 troops who are already drawn thin because of the decimation of the military, he'll send 3,000 troops to Africa who we can't afford to send to Africa. He'll put boots on the ground in an Ebola zone, but he won't put them on the ground in an ISIS zone. Maybe he will. They're probably there already. But the point of the matter is, why are we sending troops to Africa? Why in the world would you send troops to Africa? Not only will they contract Ebola, as sure as I'm sitting here, some of them will, but they will bring it back to this country as well. This man who is running this country is a criminal. He's a war criminal. If he doesn't understand this, then he's a dummy. And so he can't be a dummy. He became president. So if he's not a dummy, and the schmuck doctors who report to him say, Mr. President, maybe they'll bring back the Ebola virus. I'm sure they could spit it out, one of the fake doctors, one of the MD, PhD morons in the CDC can say, but Mr. President, there's a risk that our troops, some of them, will bring back Ebola because the transmission of it may be airborne. It may be airborne transmission. There's a risk. Now, how in the world could they not tell the president that? So if they told the president that and he knows the risk and he continues to say, I'm sending 3,000 troops to Africa anyway, what does that tell you? Then he's not stupid, is he? So then what, he's knowingly going to infect the U.S. military with Ebola? Is that a possibility? Don't answer the question. It's too disgusting to contemplate. I'll be right back.